All right, how's it going, everyone? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm start getting a little. I'm going live a little few minutes early just to get everyone warmed up and ready for my amazing guest today. Let me know in the comments who you are and where you're tuning in from. I see Kunj is tuning in from YouTube, and thanks so much for tuning in, Kunj. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, I'm very excited about this particular conversation as well, Kunj. I definitely see Arjun, and by the way, today's guest, for those of you who aren't aware, is Arjun, none other than Arjun Kashetty, who is the founder of Fellow International Student, a group that you will see, or most of us will see, very much active on LinkedIn. I mostly see them on LinkedIn because I'm active on LinkedIn for the most part. And you always see the hashtag everywhere, right? And some great content, great energy, and such a great group. I was recently a opening speaker at their very successful LinkedIn 4.0 event, which was, I believe, the past month or so, where there was around 200 people. So very successful event. So I'm very excited to have Arjun here with me today. But before getting started, let us know in the comments, folks, who you are, which city you're tuning in from. I believe most of you are from right here in Toronto. So let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. And also, feel free to put in any of the questions you have that you want to ask Arjun. I'd be happy to have Arjun respond to all your questions. So just let us know in the comments. I believe there is a bit of a glitch in LinkedIn today whereby it's not putting out notifications. So hopefully all of you did set your calendar reminders before we get today's events started. Let me just get a few things set up over here. So that we can do this. Let's see here. Yeah, looks like we are live. Awesome. So other than that, now just a few announcements before we go and get this thing started, folks. So for those of you who might have missed my Tuesday segment, I had a if you're into IT, you have an interest in technology. My guest this past Tuesday was Faisal Alvi. So if you want to watch the recording for that, Faisal came through and he spoke about project management, the blend of project management and business analysis. You can watch that recording. It's on my LinkedIn featured, or you can watch it on my YouTube channel. For those of you who have an interest, the replay is up on my YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out. Special thank you to everyone who joined me on my session yesterday at torontojobs.ca. So I spoke about the topic of utilizing recruiters in your job search. Some great positive feedback there. As soon as I get the replay from them, I will upload it to my YouTube channel, as well as on LinkedIn, as well as Facebook, and all those channels. And be sure to share all that great information that was shared in that session for all of you in utilizing recruiters in your job search. So I hope that helps. And without further ado, as mentioned, very excited to introduce my guest today. A very dynamic, very high energy guy that I met through LinkedIn, that we both connected on LinkedIn. And by the way, folks, I say this all the time. This is why it's extremely important for you to be active on LinkedIn, right? That's how you meet great people. That's how you network with great people. That's how you meet like-minded people. Now, Arjun is someone also very passionate about keeping his network informed, educated, motivated, and upbeat with the current way of things, and especially for his group, right? I started seeing the hashtag Fellow International Student, and it's always very high energy people. They're always putting out videos, and I kept wondering, who are these people? Who are these Fellow International Student people who are always so positive, always posting great videos? Who are these people? Like, I got to find out. And eventually, I don't know if I connected with Arjun before that or after that, but I was very fortunate and very happy to get in touch with Arjun. And I had the privilege of being invited to Arjun's very successful, and not just Arjun, of course, but of course he has a great team of people assisting him as well. But his very successful and the Fellow International Student very successful event, which was LinkedIn 4.0, and this took place a couple of weeks back, and such a well-organized event. And it's one of the largest groups that I have personally spoken in front of. I had the privilege of being the opening speaker, and there was around 200 attendees who came. Again, one of the largest events that I have ever spoken at as a speaker. And again, such high energy, such great information was shared. So before I bring Arjun on, just some brief introduction regarding Arjun for those of you who might not be aware who Arjun is and what he brings to the table. And by the way, before I get into that, shout out to everyone tuning in from Facebook, from YouTube, also from Periscope. We have some people from Periscope on Twitter tuning in. Shout out to everyone on LinkedIn. Make sure you hit like, folks. Make sure you hit like. That's so that other people in your network can see this in their feed, and they can get some great information out of this very important topic. So without further ado, so Arjun came as an international student, right, 6 years back from India, and he graduated from Seneca with supply chain management program. And after that, he worked with a company called Ackland's Granger, right? So everybody knows that organization, well-known organization, for 2 years as a purchasing analyst, and moved to Walmart and worked as replenishment analyst e-commerce for 2 years, and currently working for Sobeys as an e-commerce demand planner. Now, along with his full-time profession, he started a nonprofit organization called Fellow International Student to support the international student community. So, folks, this isn't some guy who's just supporting the international student community. This is a guy who started as an international student. He's in the exact same shoes that he has been in the exact same shoes that you are. If you're an international student right now, you're struggling, you're stressed out, you're experiencing various issues, maybe in the work and in the life as well. This is someone who has lived it, experienced it, overcame it, and obviously is very successful and working at some well-known brands. So without further ado, folks, I want everyone to make sure you give a warm welcome to my wonderful guest today. Arjun, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely, Dean. Am I loud and clear?
Yeah, you're loud and clear, perfectly loud and clear, and very excited for this conversation. So, and again, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely, Dean. I mean, what an energy. I'm so excited to be in this live. And in fact, this is my first LinkedIn live. I've been really observing you. You're crushing the LinkedIn live from pretty long time, and very well organized, very well thought out speakers coming in, a lot of content. And I can see that every live has good amount of traction in terms of people coming in and engaging. So it's my privilege to be on this live, and I'm very, very excited to share my journey and impact as many as people as possible.
Thank you so much, Arjun. And the privilege is mine. I was really excited to have you here as a guest. So Kunj says, I cannot see the face, Dean. It's still showing the poster. Yeah, so Kunj, there's a bit of a lag. There's usually a 10 to 15 seconds lag. So that's why you might not be able to see Arjun right away, but you should be able to see both of us right now. But let us know in the comments, folks. You can see and hear us okay. And of course, any questions you have for Arjun, I'm happy to get to those shortly. So Arjun, I mean, let's get right into it, right? I mean, and to set the stage, can you please let the viewers know about your journey as an international student when you originally arrived in Canada?
Yeah, absolutely. I graduated from my BCom in India, and right after my graduation, I got through campus selection, and I started working for a firm called Wells Fargo. It's a US-based bank. I started working as an a financial analyst over there for almost 1 year. I did see my the growth of my managers. I was like, it's not really the thing what I'm looking for after 10, 15 years of experience in the same company. And it's not just about that particular company, but that's what I somewhere saw, that the Indian market and being over there as an employee. So I wanted to really upscale my profile, upscale my career, thought of doing education, came to Canada. Knowingly, unknowingly, I don't know why I came to Canada. Mostly that was the easiest place compared to US and Australia and UK. Not knowing exactly, I mean, I did not have any friends here, no family. I came here with 2 suitcases, paid like $60 for my cab driver fees, and he dropped me somewhere, and that's how it all got started. My roommate became my mentor. I had to listen to him, whatever he says, because he was like literally 4 months, 5 months more than me in the country, and he knows a little bit better in terms of where to get a bus and where to get the cheap grocery. So he was my mentor. I did study in a couple of colleges, St. Lawrence. It was not really meant to be where I was. I landed over there with lack of mentorship, but somehow I struggled there for 8 months and then moved to Seneca. Seneca changed my life a lot. It gave me a lot of exposure, and it gave me a lot of skill set. And as usual, typical international student journey in terms of not knowing what to do, figuring out the part-time jobs, figuring out accommodations, self-image hit, belief hit, homesickness. been through all of it and unlocked one thing at a time, figured out one thing at a time, and eventually I'm here, graduated from school and started working in supply chain industry for almost 4 years. Currently, I'm
Wow.
working with Sobeys as a demand planner. Unfortunately, I just worked in office for 1 week right after the pandemic hit.
Oh,
So
right.
all I'm doing is working from home, and I saw my manager only for 1 week, and
Right, right,
so
right.
that's what is happening right now.
Okay, got it. Wow, I mean, what an inspirational story. I mean, that's just amazing, Arjun, right? I mean, you walk the walk, you talk the talk, you have experienced exactly what a lot of international students are experiencing. It's just amazing your story and how much inspiration that is. Now, just a quick shout out to one of the viewers, Balaji. Thanks so much for tuning in. Balaji says, "Hi, Arjun. This is going to be an awesome session.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Thanks
thanks,
for tuning in,
Balaji.
Balaji." And a shout out to Balaji, by the way. He does all the graphics for my social media posts. So
Oh,
anyone out
nice.
there, yeah, you need even for you guys, Arjun, if you guys need any graphics work on your stuff, feel free to reach out to Balaji.
Yeah.
Other than that, Arjun, now when we chatted earlier and we were discussing this segment, you mentioned that international students go through a special life cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you
Mm-hmm.
describe what is that life cycle, like what that life cycle is, and what are the various stages of the life cycle?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always like this, right? Initial excitement, doubt and fear, study and growth, and it implies in every particular life. Like even you're an immigrant, you're working in a new company, you go through it, you get excited, man, I got an offer, and right after that, you
Yeah,
see the work, and you'll be like, man, can I even do it? Then you figure out, and then you will settle down, and then you go forward. It's the same thing with international students.
yeah.
The first and the foremost, I mean, there are different life cycles in terms of the first 1 year, there's a different struggle. Next 1 year, there's a different struggle. The next 1 year, there's a different struggle. Mostly until they get their permanent residency, it's kind of a struggle. It's a lot of uncertainty because uncertainty in terms of income, uncertainty in terms of status, uncertainty in terms of schedule. So there's a lot of uncertainty, and I see a lot of international students who are really hustling, but they really don't own even a single bed to sleep.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
And the potential what they have is amazing, and they'll be like paying 40-50,000 college fees on an yearly, I mean, 2 year program. They're
Yeah, yeah.
contributing a lot to the community. They're paying a lot of taxes and so on and so forth. So the first life cycle of an international student is when they come to Canada, they're excited. They go out, they roam around and everything, but their
Yeah, yeah.
problem is not getting right part-time jobs.
Hmm.
Without part-time job, they have minimal amount of funds and it gets depleted. So it gets really tricky for them, and I would say half of them figures it out and they get their part-time job somehow and they kind of up and running, but half of them get stuck in not getting the part-time jobs, and their funds are depleting. Mostly their parents are not able to support them back home. So they
Hmm.
get through a lot of mental the stress and the torture. Like waking up every day, they're thinking about the part-time job and so on and so forth. So once they clear that hurdle, so next comes the assignments and the plagiarisms and the
Right, right, right.
exams and all of it. Because coming from back home, we don't really follow the education system standards what we have in Canada.
Hmm.
You don't study the whole year. You just write your exam one day before and you pass and you're done. But here in Canada, it's
Hmm.
not going to be like that. You have incremental marks. You have to
That's right.
score on every assignment. You have marks for your attendance and so on and so forth. So it's a big shocker for them. In the first semester, some people might fail and suddenly like, oh, I failed and I don't have a supplementary exam. I have to pay another $1,000-$2,000 and take another 4 months of program. That's a big shocker for them. Again, they
Yeah.
overcome that as well. They overcome the part-time job. They overcome the education. The next thing is they're uncertain because there's so much of pressure of paying the fees. They don't want to worry about anything else. They're like, man, I want to complete my program without failing, so that way I can focus on my job search at a later point.
Got it.
But
Right.
unknowingly, the program will be done in 18 months, like 16 months. Before even they realize that they're in Canada, the program will be done in 18 months, 18 to 16 months, and not in 2 years. And suddenly they're in a blank board. Like, I don't know how to get my job. So that's the third phase, the third cycle. They're into that struggle of, I don't know how to get a job. And then somehow, they spend 6 to 8 months and they figure out and they get some job, which is mostly the better job, what they're looking for, or okay job. And then
Hmm.
the last cycle is, how can I get my permanent residency? Should I be should I be in Ontario? Should I move a province? Should I work under somebody? Or like lot of unknown questions. So
Right.
until first 3-4 years of an international student, there's a lot of struggle, and there's a lot of grind. So these are some cycles of an international student.
Understood.
Yeah,
Understood. So, I mean, Arjun, based on the way you're describing it, it sounds like a very, I guess, and not to oversimplify, but a very reactive kind of a struggle.
correct.
They're like constantly reacting to the changing cycles from what you're explaining.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. Got it. Okay.
Absolutely,
Now,
because they're thinking right now, oh, I should apply for my work permit,
yeah,
and by the time they applied their work permit, because it's a big struggle, they have to go through the process, they have to submit the documents, and
right,
they don't know, like, if I do a mistake, I might get disqualified. Let's say last 2 months back, I worked a little bit extra hours than what the government suggests for some different reason, or my boss asked
Mhm.
me to come. I'm internally, I'm so scared if these, I mean, like, the CSC get to know that I work more hours, will I get rejected? And they
Right,
get the
right.
work permit, and they're like, thank God I got my work permit. The very next day, the pressure on, where is the job?
Where's the job? Yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay. Understood. So, I guess a kind of a follow up to the previous question, Arjun, is at which stage of the life cycle do you think international students face the most challenge? Now, I know that all of the cycle, it seems very challenging. Obviously, it has its own challenges. But what would you say is the major challenges, and what are your suggestions on tackling these challenges?
Absolutely. I somewhere feel the biggest challenge what an international go through is after the graduation, until they get
Mm.
their full-time job. That period is one of the toughest period any international student would go through. Why? Because let's say new in the country and you just got started in the college, you have college to put you in a discipline mode. That means, like, you don't have to prepare your own schedule. Like, college will prepare your own schedule. You have to go there and you have to sit down and you got to do what you're supposed to do. Even though you hate that, even though you don't do your 100%, but still there is some progression happening in that particular period.
Right.
So, but whereas right after the graduation, what happens is nobody is putting them in a discipline mode. Nobody is giving them a framework. Hey, this day you're doing this to achieve this. So they're not able to progress their work, and they're trying to put some random activities in a random place, and they're not getting the results what they're looking for. Every time they're trying to do something and they're not able to achieve it, their confidence is going low and low and low, and the belief is going low and low and low, and that
Mhm.
actually shows up in front of in their eyes and their face when they sit down in front of an interviewer, because they're
Right.
desperate to get a job. They are not, okay, all these guys, Dean, these guys are one of the toppers in schools back home. Like, they will be the
Yeah.
90 percenters, 95 percenters. They're the class toppers. That's how the crowd comes from back home to
Yeah.
here. But the journey, what it makes them is they get more confident about their life. That's there. Their life skills have been increased a lot. But whereas come to professional skills, they always think that I'm not worth of getting paid like 50,000, 60,000, or $70,000 salary,
Right.
because I just have a diploma, I don't have Canadian experience, and my English abilities are not good, and so on and so forth. So this is the
Mhm.
biggest hurdle. Like, from the time they graduate till the time they get their full-time job is the biggest challenge of an international student.
Gotcha. Okay, so I mean, this whole challenge of I guess the self perception, right? Am I good enough? Am I
Mm-hmm.
worth this much or that much? So I mean, how is that overcome, Arjun? Like, is it through putting themselves out there, self improvement? What do you suggest about overcoming the lack of self confidence?
Lot of pieces together, Dean. Like, what I tell all of them, like, in the previous video I told, remove the time bomb mentality. Like, everybody has 3 years of work permit,
Yeah.
and they need to have 1 year of work experience to get their permanent residency. So what they do is they focus on permanent residency rather than the full-time job. So they're like, okay, I'm getting a full-time job. I've seen a lot of international students refusing full-time jobs because they think that that job doesn't help them to get their permanent residency.
Oh,
I will be like, dude, get a job, get an experience, because it is always easy to get a job when you have a job, rather than get a job when you don't have a job.
that's true. Yeah.
It makes sense anytime, and you have some peace of mind. The money is coming in, and you're not desperate, and you're like slowly taking it easy. And when you have that little bit of peace of mind, you can absolutely do on a better terms in terms of job search and do smart activities. So, like, that's the biggest thing. What they refuse the job offers, and like, they might not be able to really tackle the things what they're able to tackle it. And the next thing is, association plays a very, very important role. Mostly they're hanging around with the people who are not really having a high self-image. Mostly they're hanging
Okay.
around with a lot of people who are keeping them in the comfort zone. And
Mhm.
in the LinkedIn meetup, I told you, if you go to any of the international students home and you collect all the beer bottles what you have, you can actually pay 1 semester fees. of an international
Yeah.
student education.
Really, eh?
Um, so because no family, no TV or no entertainment, so all you can do is drink and drink and drink and drink.
Mm.
So when you have a college, when you have a part-time job, again you have that discipline. You can't drink and go to
Yeah,
college,
yeah,
so you can't drink it. But you're
yeah.
home sitting from past 200 days and you're not doing anything. You're getting into that alcoholism or so on and so forth.
Mm.
That's another way of losing the dream, okay, I had the capabilities, but I'm numb right now. I can't really do anything. I can't come out of my comfort zone. Another
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
is lack of intentionality. What do you mean by that? They always depend on somebody else. They don't try to do their own research. They'll be like, this is a bro, can you please help me to get a full-time job? That's how they start. And they don't
Mm.
even work on introducing themselves. Hey Arjun, you know what, I'm a graduate student from Seneca. I did my business management program. I'm very excited to get into Canadian market, and I'm looking for administrative and accounting jobs. If there is an opportunity, I would love to connect with you on LinkedIn, or I would love to pass on your my resume. How about you take a look at it and give me some feedback? They don't even get
Yeah,
there. They'll be like, bro, can you please help me to get a job? That turns off people
yeah, yeah.
who want to help. Because I mean, I'm okay to refer somebody who's qualified, but I'm not. I don't have so much of time to sit down with somebody, motivate them, tell them that you have to change all
Yeah,
vocabulary,
yeah.
your communications, your what is it, your resume, and then refer you. That's why you're paying fees for the college. College should have done that already.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
these are
absolutely.
certain pieces. These are certain pieces which are not allowing international students to really move further. But again, it's 80-20 rule. 80% of the people are clueless. There is a big question mark on their head. But 20% of
Mm.
the people, they're completely known in terms of what exactly they want to do. They will plan from the day one in terms of
Yeah.
saving their money, in terms of paying their fees, in terms of networking, in terms of doing the courses along with their college. If they're studying in a college, side by side, they're doing some Coursera, some Udemy, some LinkedIn Learning, and they're building their network. And these are the people who will figure it out, and they will absolutely get the jobs what they're looking for. I hope I
Gotcha.
answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was some great insights, and I think what you said about who you spend time with, like that's so important, right? And we all heard the saying, misery loves company, right? You hang out with the wrong
Mm-hmm.
people, they're gonna drag you down to where they are, right? So I mean, everyone knows that. So you got to be careful, folks, who you're spending your time with. So some great points there, Arjun. And just a quick, we have a shout out from Aditya. Aditya said, "Such an inspiration, Arjun." Uh,
Thanks, Aditya.
yeah, thanks for tuning in, Aditya. And folks, any questions you have for Arjun, feel free to put it in the comments. Now, Arjun, I mean, obviously, and you've kind of touched on this, but many international students can experience that feeling of homesickness.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that can be done to battle this, aside from what you have already mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, most of the times, people who feel homesick are the people who've never come out of their home in their entire life, and that's the first
Mm.
time they're really coming out of their home. For me, I'm out of my home from 2010. That's like 10 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
And right after my 12th, I had to move out of my small town in India. I had to come to Bangalore to pursue my undergraduation. But in Bangalore, I was staying with my cousins. So I
Ah.
was not
Okay.
feeling that homesick because it's another family, and I had very good friends and so on and so forth. But after coming to Toronto as well, it was not really a big shift for me, because I'm always used to spending time with my friends, and I'm always used to build new relationships. I'm
Right.
okay to build any relationship. Like within 2 days, I can make that person as a best friend for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So particularly for me, I did not feel really homesick, but I missed my people. I wanted to visit them often. But there are some people who never been out of the house. They were really really pampered. The homesickness comes here.
Mm.
Some parents pamper their kids a lot, like literally a
Yeah.
lot. They wouldn't have taught them like how to cook food, how to fold their clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they've pampered them a lot, and suddenly these guys want to come to Canada, and they come here, and suddenly
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
wake up, they don't have a breakfast. Okay, now they're missing their mom and dad, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I
Yeah.
feel like coming back home because I'm feeling homesick. Like clothes here and there, everywhere. They fight with their roommate. Oh, if I was
Mhm.
with my cousin, mostly my cousin would have been taking care of me well, but my roommate is fighting with me for small things. I hate this.
Uh-huh.
I'm feeling homesick.
Okay.
So
Okay.
these are certain things, and how to overcome homesick is to make yourself very occupied. Like make sure that
Mhm.
you are working in a job continuously. You're not relying on your parents' money back home. and you're coming out of your comfort zone. And mostly Toronto is a beautiful city. Go out and explore and do some cycling or do some winter activities, and try to be as much out as possible other than the four walls. Another biggest reason of getting homesick is basements. People live in basements. They don't even have a small window to look whether it is Monday or Sunday or night or day. They wake up on a random time and suddenly they're like, man, I'm stuck in these four walls, and they get into that anxiety and so on and so forth. So come out, mostly figure out a different place which has good balcony, mostly, so on and so forth. So physical dimension plays a very important role towards your perspective. So
Gotcha. Okay. So the actual immediate environment, as well as don't spend too much time alone by yourself. Put yourself out there, go out there, explore. Get out there. Okay. Great advice. Now, in terms of the job search, Arjun, and you again, you have already kind of touched on this and mentioned this, but what typical challenges do the international students face typically in regards to the job search, and what is your advice for them?
So first of all, international students, they really don't know how to kickstart the job search. They don't have a procedure. Okay, first they all know that I need to have a resume. But if you take a look at a resume, the resume is really not worth. When I say it's really not worth, the people are worthful. Like the candidate is worthful, but the resume is not worth. So I still remember my first initial stages of my job search. I met this guy called Martin. He's an HR director or something for a crypto company right now in downtown Toronto. Martin Hunk, if I'm not wrong. So I'm still in touch with him. So what I used to do, Dean, some of my senior told me, hey, do LinkedIn direct messaging to recruiters, headhunters, type headhunter, you'll find headhunters. Tell them that you write a small message saying that you graduated, you have 1+ or 2+ years of experience in blah, 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 and send them a message and attach your resume. Do that 20 to 30 times every single day. You will hit it somewhere. My communications were so bad, I even had to write down the script of how to introduce myself. If a recruiter asked me, tell me about yourself, I wrote down a paragraph and I used to read that, because it's telephonic interview, it's not Skype interview, it's telephonic interview. I used to keep like this and I used to read it. And default question, the next question they used to ask, why do you apply for this job? I have an answer. What are your strengths? I have an answer. What is your weakness? I have an answer. If they ask anything other than that, I don't have an answer. So that's how I started my job search. But I had to start somewhere. I can't whine. I can't sit down and cry that I can't do it. So when I reached out to Martin, he he picked up a phone call, and the first answer I told about myself, he asked me, "Are you reading out of a script?" And I told, no, why do you ask? He's like, it's so profound and clean and you're not stopping anywhere. And I was like, my name is Arjun. I came as an international student 4 years back, and this is how I'm monotone, not modulation. So he figured out that I was reading out a script. I was like, no, I'm not reading out a script. And he's like, that's okay, man. I just asked you because you're clean and clear. I was like, okay, this guy is so nice guy, even though he understood that I'm reading out of script, but he appreciated the effort what I put. And he actually called me for a meet and greet over a lunch. He bought me lunch, and I suited up. I went to downtown with a tie on, everything, and I couldn't even figure out what I should order over there because it's some Western kind of restaurant. All I know is idli dosa. I never had anything. So he bought me the food, and right after that, he looked into my resume. He told me, Arjun, your resume is here, but your personality is here. So you have to match your resume to your personality. Once you do that, you're going to get the results what you're looking for. And he in fact helped me to do my resume. He put me in a couple of interviews. I could not crack it, but he did not judge me. He's still a good friend of mine. But I was genuinely able to put in that effort. So I started getting the results. So the first thing is, international students, if somebody is looking for jobs, you make sure that you become intentional in putting that efforts. You make sure that you get organized on everyday basis to put in that efforts. That's what I would recommend, Dean.
Amazing advice, and I love the example. I mean, that's an excellent example. We have a comment here from Nambikai, who says taking charge and getting results. Looks like I mean that's what Arjun has been talking about. So absolutely good comment there. And and that was such a perfect example too. So I mean, and this kind of touches on the importance of also networking with the right people. So Arjun, what are some networking tips you can share for international students?
So again, the first thing is what international students try to do networking is with another international student. That's
Yeah,
okay to do that because that's easy to do it. For example, if you're an IT recruiter, the easiest way for you to connect with somebody else is an IT recruiter.
that's right.
But
Yeah.
that's more of a comfort zone. If you try to do that, mostly the horizon or the thought process is within that particular group. But when you hang around with different people, for example, for me, I'm a supply chain guy. I don't know the A and the B and the Z of IT or whatever other departments. But what
Yeah.
I did is I started hanging around with other people than other my other my program. So then I asked one guy, is a software developer. I asked him, man, what do you do? What is software development? If somebody is a business analyst, I was like, what is business? Who's business analyst? What does he do? What is his daily activities look like? For example, if I meet somebody who's working in a job, my antenna doesn't start with how much money do you make. My antenna
Yeah.
starts with what kind of work do you do?
Yeah.
What kind of skill sets you need to get into that kind of role. So what I used to do is I used to talk to people with so much of interest and enthusiasm. Like for example, I meet somebody who's coming from Bangalore, who's in Canada from past 10 years. He has a little bit of interest to talk to me because I'm also from Bangalore.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will not ask what pub are you going in the weekend, or where did you buy the home, how long are you in Canada, what do you suggest for weekend plan. So I'm not asking that. I will be like, yeah, I really respect that you're putting a lot of time and effort in Canada. I would really love to learn what you do at your workplace. And trust
Yeah.
me, a lot of people feel good to talk about it because their spouse don't ask about it. Like nobody asked about it, no friends
Yeah.
discuss about it. And random guy showing their interest and talking about their accomplishment, they literally give you everything what you need.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the best way to do network because I'm genuinely showing interest to learn about somebody else's work. And also what is happening with me is I'm learning, do I have the skill set to become a business analyst? Yes or no. Whatever this particular person is doing, does it interest me? If yes, I do have the potential to learn those skill set. Is it worth
Mm-hmm.
it? So I'm validating myself all these things in my mind and kind of coming to an understanding, okay, business analyst is not my cup of tea. Okay, next
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
getting into, mostly I want to get into logistics because supply chain is so big. There's supply chain, purchasing, inventory management, logistics, transportation, customs. Once you graduate from a school, the school teaches you all of it as a subjects, one subject.
Yeah.
But you don't know what role you want to look into. Let's say I did not do my research and I went into logistics. Mostly I should be working in a field, in a warehouse and an distribution center,
Yeah.
which I don't really personally prefer. But if at all I wouldn't have done research, I wouldn't have understood that coming to purchasing or coming to demand planning and forecasting and replenishment would allow me to supply chain process improvement, would allow me to work in the home offices of big corporations. So that's what I would say, Dean, in terms of reaching out to people and genuinely showing that interest. And last but not least, I use this technique. It's called FORM, family,
FORM.
occupation, recreation, and message. So that means
Nice.
I ask them like, where are you from? What is your occupation? What do you do on the other than other than your full-time job? What do you do? Interests and hobbies, and a message. What message I want to give them? Hey, you know what? I'm a graduate student and I will be looking for jobs in next 2 months, but I would love to keep in touch with you and learn from your experience, and that's done. So when time comes in, I have a guy in my bucket, and if I want to pick him up and suddenly brother, I saw an role in Loblaws, like you told, I know that you're working as a replenishment manager for Loblaws, can you please refer me? Because I had a good conversation with him two
Yeah.
months
Yeah.
back without asking anything. So
Yeah. Wow, I love that. I love that, Arjun. So, and you said such an important thing about showing interest in other people. And this is not just for international students. Like I can tell you as a recruiter, like most people are they're inside their own heads so much. And you have to have that ability to open up and really show a genuine interest in the other person, right? And that's so important in building that connection, building as a part of networking. And I love the FORM. So you said it was family,
family,
occupation,
occupation, recreation, and message.
recreation, and message. Fantastic. So for the international students watching, that sounds like a fantastic formula. Make sure you use that. And again, showing the interest, genuine interest in the other person. I think that's great advice and very practical. And I can definitely confirm that as a recruiter who's always networking with job seekers all the time, right? So now, Arjun, like you have built a very strong brand yourself on LinkedIn, and not just yourself, but this has also expanded into fellow international student as well. Very strong brand. Any personal branding and LinkedIn tips for international students?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now, I believe personal brands are more worth than bigger brands right now outside.
Yes, yes,
Like if you see Hudson Bay as a company might have less followers than one of the influencers in LinkedIn.
yeah,
Like right now, LinkedIn has like very big influencers. For
yes,
example, Shay or Grant Cardone or all these guys,
yes,
like they have big brands and big followers. As a company alone can't have bigger brand than a personal individual. So I feel next decade, if you want to win the game and be in the cutting edge and make some wealth for yourself, personal brand plays a very important role. Right now, when we are doing all these things like LinkedIn lives and doing the LinkedIn video content creation and adding value, frankly speaking, we don't make any money. We literally make zero money. And in fact,
yeah.
we have
That's
to
right.
spend more money doing all these things. But it's gonna yield bigger crop at a later time. It's the law of
Yeah,
sowing and reaping never fails. You sow and you sow and you sow and you sow and
yes,
you reap in abundance at a later period of time, because there's so much of compound effect happening and people are looking at you, people are seeing you, people are trusting you, people would like to talk to you, people would like to hang out with you. After 1 year of they seeing you in an online website like this, on an online platform like this, or on YouTube or a Facebook, where you're adding value to somebody, when they see you in person next time, you are a celebrity for them. And in
yeah,
fact, they will almost talk to you like they know you forever.
yeah, yeah,
You don't even have to introduce. The moment some, let's say you go to some grocery store and some guy is following you from almost like 2 years and he got his full-time job and he saw
yeah.
you, he's gonna leave the groceries right there and he's gonna run to you and say, hey Dean, I would like to shake your hand. I've been looking at your content from pretty long time. You really helped me a lot. So that is the ripping time, and that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that online connection has become an offline connection, and you don't know where that connection will lead you into a different venture, different collaboration, or a number of different activities. So building personal brand, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity right now. If you want to really win the competition, like there's so much of competition out there right now.
yeah,
They're like
yeah,
really we flew from India coming to Canada thinking that we're going to avoid the competition. No, there's a lot of competition
yeah,
here
yeah,
too. So it is very important that we identify that there's a lot of competition, and the only way where you can beat the competition is you becoming bigger than your competition. That's through brand building. And the best part is right now you don't have to spend any money to scale up your brand up to until certain extent on LinkedIn or
exactly. Yeah,
Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or different platforms. You are already being a consumer of somebody else's content. Why don't you practically implement some of the tips what you learn from different influencers whom you like? And in fact, if you remember that I follow you big time, whatever you do I try to replicate it, because
yeah,
you,
yeah,
you have good amount of traction, you have good amount of engagement, so I want to replicate it. Every video you put in, I see minimum 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 views within 1 day or 2 days. And that's where I want to be. So I actually replicate that and I put it. And one tip with LinkedIn is, I wasted almost 2 years of my time thinking that I don't have the right tools to start my LinkedIn video creation, and I was like hiding
mm,
behind the camera and stuff like that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
went to one of the LinkedIn local in 2019 July, I guess. Yes, 2019 July, by Bobby Umar, LinkedIn local.
Oh, yes,
So
yes, right, right.
yeah, so Bobby Umar, I went there and I spoke to one of the guy who were there who's doing the LinkedIn videos, and I asked him like, man, what tools do you use to edit? How do you put your subtitles? He's like, why are you asking? I was like, I'm waiting for that tools and the subtitles to come so that way I can start producing my videos. He's like, dude, stop it right there, open your camera, start post something. And that's
Yeah,
what the
yeah,
message he gave me. He's like, don't worry about anything, just keep posting, post the raw videos, eventually figure it out. And that actually helped me to take that first action, and from there till now I feel I've bettered in terms of video production and stuff like that, but there's lot to go. I mean, there's a lot to learn. But one tip I can give you about brand building is start now, start today.
mm,
And last but not least, I have told so many people about this and they'll be like, Arjun, I'm not successful yet and I don't think I can do it. Dude, you don't have to be successful to do your brand building. You do your
yeah.
brand building so that you become successful, so it's
That's
opposite.
right. Love that. Love that.
So yeah, absolutely.
Love that. 100% agree. And yeah, folks. I mean, I can tell you myself. Like, I don't use any fancy tools myself, and I think you made a good point, Arjun. Like what that other individual told you. Don't worry about the tools. Just start doing it. right? And actually, the more raw your footage is, actually people actually like that more because it makes you more real, like a real everyday person versus something in a professional studio and this and that, all that fancy stuff. So it's actually not a negative thing. So I agree with what you're saying, Arjun. I mean, just start doing it right away. Completely agree. Now that being said, Arjun, like, so in regards to fellow international student, and before you let us know about the group, what prompted you to do this? I mean, it's very easy for anyone to say, okay, you know what, okay, I came here as an international student, I had some struggles, I am successful now, I got a job, now I can get on with my life. A lot of people might do that, right? But you chose to actually take it to another level. You decided, okay, I'm going to create a group and I'm going to do something that's going to be impactful. What was your thinking? Like, what made you want to do that?
So, I mean, that's pretty interesting, Dean. Like, as you know that I've been through the same struggle, and I mean, somewhere I believe that I was very lucky. Even though I worked hard, luck also plays a very important role for you to escape the struggle, the grind, the hustle, and so on and so forth. So, for my hard work, luck and network combined together, and I got the results what I was looking for. But not every international student outside is not really as lucky as I am, or as fortunate to match all the aspects together and get the things what they're looking for in their life. So once after graduation, I know that international students are struggling a lot, but I like talking to people. I like hanging around with people. I like to I like public speaking from back home. Like that's what that's what my forte. So I was talking to a lot of people and understanding, but every time I see an international student, there's always a struggle. There's a lot of there's no clarity in their life, and they're like, oh, this is what happened. I worked in a job in a restaurant for almost 2 weeks. They did not pay me because they told it's 2 weeks training, and after that they're gonna hire me. After 2 weeks of cleaning the washrooms and cleaning the vessels, they told me that you're not worth of working in a restaurant and throw me out. I was like, dude, this can't be real. Like, how can it be real? Like, and I mean, I don't want to name the colleges. Like in the pandemic, they're doing online classes right now. One of the popular college gave back $50 as in reimbursement for not using the property, and they're charging $7,000 to $9,000 per semester as an international student. And I'm graduated from there too. So these are certain things we can't really change. And like as an individual person, you can't really change. But what you can do is you can educate as many as people so that they don't become the victims of all of it. Another thing is, like, a lot of international students, they have the capability of getting their permanent residence. They will be like, you know what, I don't think I can get my PR. I will go to a lawyer, I'll pay him $20,000 so that he can run my payroll for next whatever time, and he can help me out to get my permanent residency. Or let me work in an pizza or in A&W for next 2 years. They will pay me $11 per hour in cash, and they will give me LMI, so that way I can work get my permanent residency in Ontario. I don't know whether I should be talking about all these things in the live call here, but a lot of international students are going through this trauma every single day. So what prompted me to do this is because individually I can't educate people, I can't empower people, but if it is a group of people who are as highly motivated as me, if one person can change 10 people, 10 people can change 100 people. So I somewhere felt that we have to put together a team of people who are as energetic and as enthusiastic and as self-aware as I am, so that I can duplicate myself, I can replicate myself and leave these guys on the road, so that way they can go and impact another 100 people. That 100 people can go and impact another 100 people. Because no matter how many YouTube videos you see, no matter how many guest lectures you attend, if you don't have a personal mentor who will sit down one-on-one for 15 minutes and give you that belief that, hey, you know what, you are really great, don't worry about it, you're gonna figure it out, you're gonna get your permanent residency, you're gonna get your full-time job, that 15 minutes of a one-on-one conversation will make that particular person believe towards his own life for next 1 year. So if a person like us who's already achieved little bit can give belief to somebody, and their life will be better off for one continuous year, that's what motivated me to put together a group called Fellow International Student. And frankly speaking, we are not working at the fullest potential of what we have, because everybody are working their full-time jobs and they're volunteering with whatever they have. But eventually we want to scale it up, and eventually we want to make it as a registered organization and make it full-fledged registered events and so on and so forth. And the next goal is I want to write a book. The title is Fellow International Student.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not bragging about it. And that's the dream. Like, I'm not saying that it's going to be the successful book and it's going to be the top selling book. I don't care about it. All I care is, man, Arjun, writing IELTS for 4 times to come to Canada till you writing your own book is an achievement.
Yeah,
So
that's amazing.
that's what I'm measuring myself. And my book, The Fellow International Student, which I'm going to start writing, will have a step-by-step life cycle of an international student before even they come to Canada, or before even they choose to apply to come to Canada. Parents and students can read that book and get a reality check in terms of, is it worth going to Canada? If yes, how do you mentally prepare yourself, and what is the realistic expectations you should have, and in a 10-15 chapters, so that way they can go through that book and don't have to talk to too many people for getting the answers. So that's what my objective of doing, making it as a guide for international students.
Gotcha. Love that, Arjun. I mean, that's amazing. I love that's so exciting. I'm so happy to hear that you're writing a book. It's amazing. That's fantastic. And it's just, and I feel like Fellow International Student it's like a movement. That's the way that I see it. And you also had a very successful recent LinkedIn 4.0 event where there was 200 attendees. So I mean, that was again amazing. I've already congratulated you many times, but that was fantastic, and congratulations on that. So so for the viewers, Arjun, who who are international students, but maybe they're not involved with your group yet, like what can you tell them about Fellow International Student? What can they expect? And for those students interested in getting involved, like what can they expect from being a part of the group and part of the events?
Absolutely. We have I mean, one group, it's a closed group, Fellow International Student, and as well as we have our own page, Fellow International Student. I would highly recommend you to hit the like and follow and go there and be as a group member, because what's happening in that particular closed group, we are actually encouraging people who are within that group to start producing the LinkedIn content. So I somewhere feel that's the easiest way to start your brand building. That brand building leads you into more views leads you into more opportunities or more interviews leads you into good jobs. So that's the cycle, or that's the pattern what we are trying to follow. And the reason why we have a closed group is because I'm hesitant to post my first video in front of 10,000 people, but I'm okay to post my first video in front of 50 people or 100 people.
That's right. Yeah.
And people who are there within that group are also going through the same thing. So they encourage you. They don't put you down. They don't judge you. They don't criticize you on your video. They put uplifting comments, and you feel, man, I did a pretty good job on my first video. So now I can actually take the same video and post it on my own wall. So there are different tools. I would highly recommend everybody who's in the live today, go follow Fellow International Student page, as well as you can go to #Fellow International Student and search for groups. And you can send a request and we can accept it, and you guys can be in there and you can network within the group and so on and so forth.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, make sure you check it out, folks, if you're watching. And Arjun, the group is active on LinkedIn only, or is it Facebook
LinkedIn
as well?
It's only LinkedIn for now. Yeah,
only LinkedIn for now. Okay. Yeah, so check it out on LinkedIn, folks. And we have a comment. Aditya says, can't wait to read the book. Awesome, Aditya. And by the way, any timeline on the release for that, Arjun, or
that's not it. But I'm working on it, and a lot of things, groundwork to be done, and I need to learn first how to write a book. So
gotcha. Okay.
So there's some time commitment involved in it, but current situation I don't have that. But it's not going to be too long for sure.
Okay, fantastic. So as I mentioned before, like about the LinkedIn 4.0 event, Arjun, can you let the viewers who are not familiar with it, can you let them know about the recent event, and which was very successful, by the way? And also, can the viewers expect more events like this in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had our LinkedIn Meetup 3.0 in the month of November 2019. So we had around 150 people came in person. We had it in Donalds and Shepherd in a community center. It was a very successful event, and we really wanted to scale it up, and we wanted to bring the 250 plus people in person and hire a bigger place and do it in person. But pandemic hit and we couldn't do it.
Yeah,
we kind of lagged a little bit. We were like, no, let it reopen, let's do it. Then we were like, no, it's like new batch of people who have graduated. We got to really help them, and our team told, man, Zoom, we can do it. And we started in Zoom, and thank you very much for being as an opening speaker. We got amazing response, and people are very, very excited to listen to you, Dean. And you're the the content that you produce, I mean, you proposed and produced over there, it's pretty good, and we learned a lot. And everybody, I mean, like whoever came there learned a lot, and we got pretty good engagement. And the best part is, right after the event, everybody took the screenshots and posted on LinkedIn. So that means we know that people who came there, they actually took something and started implementing the things what we have suggested
right away.
And these events are a little bit different, and the objective of doing these events is not just to learn and sleep over it. It's just about learning, applying, and networking with the people who are already there. Because LinkedIn meetup is all about networking, but in webinar you can only do so much in terms of networking. You can't let people open their screens and tell, hey, can you please introduce yourself, and 200 people, and by the time we do it, it's going to be like 6-7 hours, and you can only grab so much of attention of people in a Zoom call. So yeah, I mean, like, you can absolutely expect to have such more LinkedIn meetups happening. We tend to do it every 3 months once, because there's a lot of work involved in it, and like, not only work involved in it, we want to grab as many people as possible at once, rather than doing bits and parts. And moreover, people reach out to our fellow international student group guys, and they get their one-on-one mentorship and stuff like that. So nobody charges anybody. It's all about, like, trying to help them based on their time limits and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Fantastic. And yeah, again, it's a great group. And, I was very privileged to be the opening speaker. And again, what I found is everyone's like very high energy, very positive. So I think if you're an international student, these are the types of people you want to be around, right? So you really need to make sure, and this is what Arjun touched on before, you don't want to be around the wrong people, right? Who are going to drag you down. So this is a good group, very high energy, very positive people. And obviously some very good leadership in terms of the group, in terms of Arjun, right? So make sure you check it out if you haven't done so already. And Arjun, like, before we wrap this up, and any final words of wisdom and practical advice to the viewers? And by the way, just a heads up, folks, for those of you watching, I'll get to the questions shortly, so feel free to put any questions you have. But yeah, Arjun, any final words of wisdom and practical advice?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, first of all, believe in yourself. I mean, this is the very simple thing everybody says, not just me, because you're constantly comparing yourself with somebody else who did a little bit better than you, or like, whatever, or they did not do a little bit, I mean, they did not do good as you're thinking. So be intentional and believe in yourself. Before coming to Canada, you had a lot of belief towards yourself, and eventually you saw some grind, you saw some struggles, and your confidence went down. Read a lot of books, associate with right people, listen to a motivational podcast. Positivity and negativity. Positivity is not free. Negativity is free. Positivity, you gotta pump it in. Negativity, it comes by default. Like, you're just sitting in a room and you're not doing anything else. The bucket is filling on the negativity like this. But whereas positivity, for you to fill that, or you can't remove the negativity, you can nullify, or you can numb the negativity through your positivity. How can you do it? Is by reading books, listening to audio podcasts, associating with the right people, and having positive self-talk and positive affirmations, and having that spiritual thing, and having some physical activity will add the bucket in the positivity. And so that way you can nullify that negativity, and at least you might not be able to dominate it, but you can equal it. That will give you a lot of mental peace, which will allow you to start thinking creative in terms of every aspect of your life rather than surviving. So that's what I would recommend, Dean.
Awesome. Fantastic closing remarks there, and excellent advice. Completely agree with that, Arjun. And like, Arjun, in terms of everyone who wants to connect with you or follow you, firstly, are you open to connecting with people on LinkedIn or okay? So what's the best way, like LinkedIn or any other channels, or is it mostly?
No, LinkedIn is the best way. I'm very active on LinkedIn. For me, WhatsApp and LinkedIn both are same. Anywhere I get the text, I'll reply right away. So
okay, fantastic. Yeah, so folks, those of you who want to connect with Arjun, if you're not already, make sure you reach out to him on LinkedIn. He's very open to connecting. So with that being said, I'm going to get into the Q&A, Arjun, if you have a few more minutes.
Yeah, I have a couple of minutes for sure.
Awesome. Sounds good. So we have a question here from Vaibhav. So Vaibhav says, I think we lost Arjun temporarily there. So we'll give Arjun a few minutes just to get back on. But Vaibhav, I do see your question here. So let's just wait for... There we go.
Sorry, my
no worries. But yeah, Vaibhav. So Vaibhav asks, can you please share some information on students who work some odd jobs for their PR and after PR lose their future path?
So that's a very good question, Vaibhav. Thank you very much for asking. I mean, the reason is very simple because we have always heard the easy route always gets harder, and the hard route gets easier at a later point. So getting an art job is very easy. You don't have to brush up your skills. You don't have to wake up and do some courses. You don't have to discipline yourself. You go and show your physical abilities. You get the $14 per hour, and sometimes it's so easy. You go to the job, work hard, and come back home, grab a beer, drink, and you sleep over it and do the same thing, and you don't have to use your brain. Sometimes working from your brain and making money is much harder than working physically and making money, but on a longer run, making money through your brain is much easier than making money physically, because obviously the physical strength goes away when you're 18, 19, 20 years old. You have so much of physical strength, you don't even think about the mental part of the work. You're like, man, I'm making money. You compare the money to Indian rupees, and you're like, I'm making whole lot of sum, and I'm sending some money. I'm already set. I want to buy a car where even project managers can't afford, because you're like, I don't care. Like, I buy a Challenger or buy an Audi or Jeep or whatever, right? So that is very important. Again, what recommendation, it's very simple. They should have that intention that, okay, I did not come to Canada to work in odd jobs. If I had to do that, I can do back home. Why am I doing it here? Why am I paying $30,000, $40,000 and working in odd jobs? I worked in odd jobs. I worked in Pizza as a cashier. I worked in security. I worked as a security guard for almost 1.5 years. I worked in call centers. I worked in factories. I worked in bakeries. So I did all of it, but I understood that it's temporary and I had to move on. And I learned a lot from there, and I picked up the skill set from there, and I implemented in different areas of my life. So what recommendation, Vaibhav, is very simple. If they have the intention, they will move out. If they don't have any intention, no tension, they're going to sit there. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Fantastic. Great advice. Vaibhav, hope that helps. Thanks for your question. We have time for one more question, folks. I want to be respectful of Arjun's time. He spent almost an hour now with us. So if I missed any questions, feel free to connect with Arjun. Maybe you can discuss later. But Balaji says, Arjun, your comments on the myth of Canadian experience, how to overcome that. This also applies to professionals who immigrate to Canada with 3 to 7+ years of experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very good question, Balaji. In fact, when I came to Canada, I did not have any Canadian experience. For international students, studying 2-year program is a Canadian experience. They're hanging around with Canadian professors, Canadian students over there, and they're understanding the culture. So they have to understand how they can glorify their Canadian education by putting some projects and putting some voluntary opportunities in their resume. The next way of overcoming is doing a lot of voluntary work. I volunteered for Pan Am Games in 2015. That actually added a lot of value. Next thing, even you start working in a call center. Let's say you don't have any Canadian experience. You're a project manager, came to Canada as a new immigrant. You're looking for jobs from 1 year. Instead of just looking, why don't you start working as a customer service representative in one of the companies like a Scotiabank or a TD, and then work there for 6 months, so you got a badge of Canadian experience. Then eventually look. It is just mental stuff saying that, okay, I don't have Canadian experience, I don't get a job. Yes, obviously people who have Canadian experience have more preferably accepted, but you have to grab whatever the job you get in the initial stage and work there for almost 3 to 4 months or 6 months, and then move up from there. That's what I would recommend.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Arjun. And before we wrap up, we have some feedback. We have Harpreet says, heartily thankful. Good to hear that, Harpreet. He says financial literacy is also important. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And finally, Harpreet says, thank you from my heart. Okay, awesome. Sounds good, Harpreet. So Arjun, clearly the viewers really appreciated you. And thank you so much for your time, Arjun. You shared so much great information. I learned so much, about international students. Definitely look forward to us collaborating more in the future. I definitely feel that we're very like-minded, and I'm pretty sure we will. Those of you watching, you'll probably see myself and Arjun, collaborating on future efforts as well. But again, thanks so much for your time, Arjun. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, and thanks everyone for tuning in. Everyone have a wonderful day as well.
Thanks, Dean. It was fantastic. Bye-bye.
Bye.